This is something
And
I really want to work on and try to create for men, and the ideas and what I'm trying to put together is that for some reason, like women really have they go to the bathroom and they go to a yoga class and they've made two or three new friends, and it's really built into how they create community. And I think in the last couple hundred years we've really, I think, stolen that from boys and men. And there was
mhm.
even a study recently that said by a female, no, a psychologist that said, men need at least 2 nights with their friends per week to keep their mental health going. And the the comments on Instagram and social media were just savage by these women and men saying like, "Oh, these are boys. These aren't men. These are," and really like
Mm,
shaming these people for men who maybe just want to hang out with some of their buddies and feel like they belong. And
mhm.
so like it's such a sad thing. And how would you recommend maybe some men that are listening that might feel more disconnected and they want to reach out and have more friends? Like what I guess yeah, how would you recommend that they go ahead and do that if they're even if they're scared to?
Um, Couple thoughts on that. One of my mentors, Dr. Stephen Johnson, he founded the LA Men's Center, which is one of the old school big men's centers. And he says if you remove alcohol, sports, and work, men have no friends.
Right. And that's
Hmm.
terrible. That's like
Oh,
thankfully, well, where I am, it's part of the reason why I stay here. Like there are a lot more open-hearted, heart-centered men
yeah.
here, and I've thankfully have a lot at home, or sorry, in Canada like that as well. But yeah, like you said, home, work, and what's the other one? Sports.
Yeah. If you, that's the only conduit that men have for a sense of belonging.
Yeah, or a lot of men think that to hang out with their friends, they have to participate in risky behavior, and insult each other, or drink together only. And a lot of
Hmm.
men, I've even heard friends of mine saying that they've avoided seeing their friends because they just don't want to drink and live that unhealthy lifestyle anymore. But they only understand that a ticket to the friendship game means having to drink and do all these things, and no one, unfortunately, is just saying, "Can't we just go for dinner?" Like it's such a weird thing.
Well, this will be contentious, and I'm okay if we disagree on this one. This
Sure.
is kind of and this, and I'll own that this may be archetype related. Um, and the archetypes are those four masculine roles that exist in all of us. The book King, Warrior, Magician, Lover
I've seen
is
that
a
one.
must read for all men. Uh, I think to maintain your man card, you got to read that book. So read that book. It's by Dr. Moore and Dr. Gillette, University of Chicago, and then Iron John. Those will two will radically level up your initiation, man understanding, and efficacy. So, um, and obviously my archetypes. I have a strong king, strong warrior. I'm I've learned how to be good in the others, but so I'm willing for this to be contentious. I believe that men are built to do. I think that we all desire significance in our life. We all have a need to serve something greater than ourselves. Like I believe that is kind of the core of my ethos or my worldview is that if you're not for others, then what are you? So with that said, and you can disagree with me, um, I think that men need to share something for them to have sustainable friendships. You need to be working on something. You need to be on a shared journey together. I think just meeting for the sake of meeting, in my experience of running men's work for 30 years, if there's not a project, if there's not a challenge, if there's not something that is collaborative and reciprocal, then men will not do it. They will
Right.
not maintain those relationships unless you're working on something that is shared. And so, for the men who are in the lone wolf phase of their life and scavenging and unhappy and unregulated, and looking to join a pack, like, okay, where do I join my pack? Uh, Find out the pack that is doing the things that you want to be doing. And I'm stressing that word intentionally, doing. So, you know, if it's a sport, like if you want to get into jujitsu, well, sample 5 jujitsu schools that are close to you, and you'll find one that has a culture that is a match for you, and that you feel like uh, safe and connected and aligned. But it's not. Hey, I'm just hanging out. That I My gut tells me that's adolescent.
Right.
I think
Well,
mature masculine men are doing something, whether it's a project, or you're starting a nonprofit, or you're getting in shape together, or you're planning a trip, or you're learning how to do jujitsu. Like, you need to be doing something.
right. Well, I think that's definitely better than staying isolated. And I certainly disagree, but very respectfully, because I think there are men that I think unfortunately stay on their own, and that's not the way to do any of that. I think that's the way to stay sad, stay angry, stay resentful, stay victimhood mentality. So I think, yeah, doing something, finding something that you like, and doing something. I don't think it has to be ultra productive, but if you're doing something in the world that, obviously, if it helps someone, or if it's a group, or, yeah, I think that's definitely the way to go ahead and meet people. Where I think we may differ is, at least personally, all of my best closest friends, and I'm very fortunate to have many throughout the world. None of them are on a shared thing, and it's just them accepting me and me accepting them. And I think that is what's kept us so close through decades now.
Hmm.
And what a lot of people have said, at least in some of the research I've been doing, is that the unfortunate part with men that will join things that are just to be productive, either it's a entrepreneur group or it's a jiu-jitsu group, that once these things end, like let's say someone gets injured or someone's business goes down, those friendships also fall apart. And it's what
Mm-hmm.
leaves men to
Yep.
feeling quite disconnected, because if we're not connected just on, like, I accept you, and I like having you in my life, and then all of these friendships become a little bit fragile in their ability to stay connected. I,
Yeah, and that's why I preface it by saying my archetype requires shared missions, which is a very foundational thing for
right,
any culture. Um, the other side of the archetype map is the lover, the magician. They're able to connect and meet simply for the sake of the connection of meeting, and that would be kind of your philosophy around friendships. It's just it's a safe place where we get to celebrate our connection.
right,
And so there are men who can make and maintain those relationships. And for the on the assertiveness scale, for those of us who are you know trying to change the world, uh, the that's the fabric that holds those communities together.
right. Yeah,
So
because
with the veterans who are coming out, they had a shared mission, and they had a shared set of values, and they had a shared vision for the world, and it was provided to them. And then the transition back into the civilian world, where none of those are provided. They have to find a they have to create or join a community where some of those drivers are being met.
right,
And that's the big challenge for veterans, is that they had all of that, and now they have to create all of that. And
yeah,
that's a daunting lift. And it's the same thing that when the Jews were emancipated from slavery of and tyranny of Pharaoh, they had to go through the desert. That's the veteran conversation. Is that, okay? You're out of the military. You no longer have this kind of slavery type mindset, but you understood, you belonged to something, and now you're in the desert, and there's nothing that is there to guide you. There's nothing there to create a worldview to direct your journey, and so you know,
Right.
metaphorically, that was when, Moses said, "Hey, we're following that pillar of smoke on the horizon, and here's your commandments."
Hmm.
So that's the veteran experience of, I'm in the desert as a lone wolf. So what is my vision for the future? What are my values that now guide me, that are mine, as opposed to what the army gave me? And that's a you know many veterans can be lost in that desert
Hmm.
for years and years and years, and um, and we've lost a lot of them since 9/11. We've lost under 8,000 soldiers to action, and in
Wow.
that same time frame, we've lost 150,000 to suicide.
Jesus.
And and
Wow.
those are the men who got lost in the desert. And at some point, you give up, because if there's no pillar of smoke on the horizon and you have no commandments, you have no tribe. And that's the function of the pillar and the commandments, is that it keeps the tribe together so you can go on that journey.
Right.
The old African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go
Far.
far,
Go
go
together.
together.
I
You
love that. Well,
The journey through the desert.